If you want a method of training that maximizes the value of each and every set that you do, look no further. I'm surprised that this isn't talked about or implemented in routines more often. If you really want to maximize the value of each and every set, if you really want to have explosive amounts of growth and outgrow everyone, all of your peers, everyone else in the gym, look no further. I have the sauce just for you. So listen, a lot of people think it's about doing the most amount of volume, doing the most amount of work, the most amount of time in the gym will see the most results. But let me tell you, it's not all about that. It's not about how many sets you do. It's about the value out of each set. In this video, I'm going to tell you how to maximize the value of each set so you can increase your efficiency in the gym and outgrow everyone. First off, let's talk about what I like to call a perfect set. So what is a perfect set? A perfect set is a set where you train with high intensity. You're going all out. You're pushing yourself hard. You're making faces. It's challenging. It's hard. You're putting the work in. Number two, your time under tension. This means the amount of reps that you're doing. A lot of people think 6 to 8 reps is good enough. It's not. You got to do 10 to 12. I think this is another issue a lot of people have in the gym and why they're not making gains. Their time under tension is not long enough. I get it. It's harder to do a set of 10 to 12 reps than it is to do one of 6 to 8. But the reason why it's harder is the same reason why it's going to make you grow. You want to maintain a certain time under tension to maximize that value of the set. The third thing that constitutes a perfect set is training to failure, or if not failure, very, very close to it. Remember, in the gym, we're pushing our limits to the maximum. That's the only way we're going to actually expect to experience growth, expect our bodies to demand that growth stimulus so that we can experience growth going forward. So now we know exactly what we need to achieve in order to experience growth. But let's go over the reasons why a regular routine doesn't incorporate these kind of factors in. So straight sets. So the thing about straight sets is, let's say you're doing 3 sets of 10. If you do 3 sets of 10, that means that the first 2 sets were not close enough to failure. It's not possible. Chances are when people do, straight sets, 3 sets of 10, they usually go lighter on the first 2 sets. They're not training close to failure. They're not training with high intensity. And then, finally at the third set, when the fatigue finally stacked up, maybe that's the one set that's actually valuable. That's the one set where it's a high value set. It has all 3 of the factors that we discussed before. However, that's only 1 set out of 3. And if you want to maximize the gains, if you want to triple your gains, you got to make use of all 3 sets. That's how you really see the reward. So let me introduce you to reverse pyramid training. So what does reverse pyramid training allow us to do? It allows us to train all 3 sets very close to failure with high intensity in the correct rep range. How do we achieve this? So our first set, when we have our most energy, is going to be our heaviest. We're going to go into that set knowing, okay, fresh, I can hit this weight for about 10 to 12 reps. So you go in, you do that set, you achieve that high value, perfect set that we talked about. Great. Now you're rested up, you're ready for the second set. However, if you really, push yourself close to failure with high amount of intensity in that first set, there's no way that you're going to be able to do the same thing with the same amount of weight on the second set. So what do? We drop the weight by about 5 to 10% depending on the exercise. What this allows us to do is push ourselves once again as hard as we can while still achieving that high rep range that we want to achieve in order to maintain that ideal time under tension so that we can get the full value of the set. Once we've completed that set, we've got 2 perfect sets under our belt. Now using the same logic, we do that with the third set, rest, drop the weight again, and go all out. When you compare this to the straight set method, we have 3 perfect sets versus the straight set method, which only has 1. Yes, I understand that the volume does play some factor in the straight sets. However, when it comes down to it, when it comes to muscle growth, the most important factor is to train yourself close to failure. If you're not training close to failure, you're not really doing too much. You're not experiencing the growth. Remember, every rep counts more than the previous one. Guys, this is by far the most optimal way to train. You're maximizing the value of each and every set you do in the gym. You're not just doing wasted junk volume. You're training really hard to burn your muscles out to really achieve that growth stimulus that we want to achieve in the gym. If it seems complicated, it's not. It's very auto-regulated. You only need to memorize really the first set that you do, the weight that you're using. Everything else is regulated based on that first set. So, let's say you start at 100 pounds, your second set will be 90, your third set will be 80. It doesn't take any extra amount of tracking or memorization. Everything's simple in that regard. On top of that, one more benefit is that since you are training with different weight thresholds, you are going to experience slightly different stimuluses, which will also factor into your muscle growth. We all know this. It is a very efficient way to introduce variation, and that will also just go a long way to help benefit you. First off, this method of training is much harder than, doing straight sets, because you are pushing every set very, very close to failure. Whereas with straight sets, you're most likely, only pushing maybe one of the sets very, very close to failure, where the other two are just kind of filler. Your intensity and effort into each set is going to be high. So you should also adjust and make your rest time slightly higher. You might even need to cut out one exercise from your day. Trust me, it's worth it. Remember, like I said at the start, it's not about how many sets you do. It's how perfectly you do them, how much value you're getting out of that set. This method of training, you're going to get tons of value, and you're not going to waste your time with junk volume. Guys, if you've never tried this method of training before, I highly encourage you to go and try that out. You are literally going to be potentially tripling the value that you're getting out of each day in the gym. This is the way to train, and you're going to see tons and tons of results. If I was to summarize this video in one sentence, it would be, you're maximizing your effort and you're minimizing wasted time. If you've ever done anything similar to this, or if you've done, whether it would be intuitively or intentionally, let me know in the comments below. Also, let me know if you have any thoughts, questions, or concerns on this method of training. It can be a bit different. I think it's new. It's not really mentioned often enough. I totally understand if that's the case for you. With that being said, that's going to bring us towards the end of this video. Subscribe to stick around for more tips in the future. Like the video if you did. Share it to a friend who you want to train reverse pyramids with in the gym. With that being said, guys, I'll see you guys next time.